Hmm. Hell. We're gonna talk about hell.
Oh, hell.
I'm Father Mark Marion.
I'm Father Gregory Pine.
And I'm Franciscan Friar of the Renewal.
And I am a Dominican friar of the province of St. Joseph.
And this is Ascension Presents. There's a lot of, bad news out there.
Yeah.
Let's lighten things up a little bit. Father Gregory's here to talk about hell.
Yeah, buddy.
Hell,
Uh-huh.
the existence of God,
Yep.
a good God, a loving Father.
Right.
Sometimes it just doesn't seem to make sense.
It doesn't seem to make sense. Yeah. I think, this one was just brought home for me. I was watching The Day the Sun Danced. I don't know if you watched CCC videos when you were little. But they were like the Catholic equivalent of the puffy case Disney movies. All right, so every family home had like Aladdin next to The Little Mermaid, next to The Lion King, next to Mulan, and those kind of squishy VHS things. And we also, next to that, we had VeggieTales next to that, and then next to that we had the CCC videos, which were awesome. So The Day the Sun Danced was the one that was about Fatima. You recall that in the Fatima apparitions, the Blessed Mother shows those three children the infernal pits of hell, and it's terrifying. And I was like, yikes, I really hope that doesn't happen to me. The only time when one entertains the possibility of hell is with respect to your own eternal fate, and you think fearfully that it is, something that could befall. That can be like really tough to reason through why hell when it's your immortal soul that hangs in the balance. So what we're going to do is just kind of walk through a little bit why God would will this, as it were, or how this fits into his plan, and how is it somehow a good thing? I mean, that's hard. Okay, so here we go. The first is, I think that part of understanding, like the possibility of hell is just reckoning with the fact that we can freely choose against God, right? So we can sin. Now, God could have made it in another way, all right? God could have made it so that, we didn't choose. And he's made plenty of creatures for whom that's true, right? So God made rocks, God made plants, God made animals. God could have stopped there, right? God could have just left off and not made human beings, not made angels, because, he doesn't have to make anything. So once he gets going, it's all gravy, right? It's all gratuity. So is he somehow responsible for making every conceivable option? No, okay? So why did he make us? Because it's good, right? Because it's good. And in fact, as Genesis testifies, it's very good. Now there's some debate as to what that very good signifies. Some people say it's human beings who are very good. Some people say it's the whole order of creation, which God completes on the sixth day. And by some people in that latter category, I include St. Thomas Aquinas. What's up? But our creation is good. Why? Well, it's because we're made to the image and likeness of God, right? So we can give expression to God in peculiar and excellent fashion. All right. Now here's the thing. With an intellect and with a will comes responsibility. And you're starting to sound like Peter Parker's Uncle Ben. That's exactly what I was going for. Okay, so great power, great responsibility. What is that power? Well, our minds can know a thing not just in this way or in that way, but in all kinds of ways, right? So you think about like sense knowledge, for instance. When your eye encounters something, it just sees that something. And it's not like it says, I prefer to see it this way, or I prefer that it appear other than it is. You just see the thing, okay? And your eye can only see the thing. Whereas with your mind, okay, you can look at a situation under a variety of lights. You can ponder it under different aspects. What are we going to do today, okay? So our options include, we could help, the brothers outside shovel the sidewalk. We could build a snowman. We could sing Do You Want to Build a Snowman from the Frozen soundtrack while building a snowman. We got all kinds of options. But I can choose to see those options in different ways, right? So I can think about shoveling under the aspect of the fact that I'm presently hungry, okay? I get like a little shaky, and as a result of which I might not be especially helpful. I could pass out, that'd be terrible. This is how I usually evade work. Or I could think about it as a service to the community. I'm a visitor. They all think that Dominicans are total punks, like very entitled, wouldn't do a solid day's worth of work in their life, and I could prove them wrong, So you get the idea. You can see it in a variety of different ways. And as a result of which, we're free to choose amongst them. Okay, so like no one way is going to just command our attention or dictate the terms of our choice so as to exclude all the others. right? So I can reason from my hunger, or I can reason from solidarity. And as a result of which, I can choose well, or I can choose less well, or I can choose poorly. Those options all lie open before me. There's only one thing, which is the type of thing that cannot be chosen against, and that's the vision of God in heaven. Once you have gotten there, you do not fear that you will drift, because God is so perfectly engrossing that he cannot be envisioned, he cannot be thought of, except as he is, except as wholly satisfying. God has made us in this way, all right? So there's a kind of like ambivalence about the intellect. I don't know how this signifies ambivalence, all right? So there's an ambivalence, and as a result of which, our wills aren't bound to this or that thing. They're free to choose. But whenever you're free to choose, right, there's going to be better and there's going to be worse, all right? And we can become worse as a result of choosing worse, and we can get fixed and fastened in the worse such that it comes to characterize who we are, right? So God continues to offer us opportunities to be drawn back to him, but sometimes we can just consistently deny those opportunities. We read in the first letter of St. Timothy that God desires that all be saved and come to knowledge of the truth. So there's a 20th century Dominican theologian who says that at each moment of each day, God is giving to even the most hardened of sinners at least the grace sufficient to pray. So God is always gesturing, God is always inviting, God is always encouraging, all right? And we can choose to consent to or cooperate with that grace, or we can choose against it, because again, we're free to see the situation in a variety of ways, according to how we've been formed, according to the friends that we've chosen, according to ... a variety of things. The Catholic tradition says that if we are saved, okay, it is by God's gift. And if we are not, right, if we are damned, it is by our choice. So the one thing you would say is that God is working towards your salvation. God desires that you be saved, all right? So it's not like the deck is not stacked evenly, right? God is conspiring towards your salvation. God is orchestrating his provident plans so that you draw close to him. But there is this fundamental fact that we can choose against him consistently, such that the thought of being with him in heaven would be closer to torture than it would be to beatitude. Because we have become, over the course of one's life, the type of people who cannot abide the presence of God. And here's the thing. Heaven is a surprisingly real place. Perhaps you've come across The Great Divorce by C.S. Lewis, where he describes a soul who is entering into heaven, and that soul finds that the grass of heaven hurts his feet, because heaven is far more real than he could ever have imagined. So we ourselves have to be made real. We have to be made substantial by our choices so that we can live in that rarefied air in heaven, so that we can abide the weight of glory which lies in store. But again, this is only as the result of a risk that God took by creating a free creature that could choose for him, but could choose against him, and a risk on our part to live life towards God, right? But it always, again, admits the possibility of failure. And that's, like the only real tragedy in life, is not to have become a saint, to have chosen against God. Hell is the place where God confirms those who consistently choose against him in their choice, because God's a gentleman, right? He's not going to force himself on anyone who would have otherwise. He's going to try to show his goodness. He's going to try to invite to his goodness. He's going to try every way by which, but he will not force. He will not coerce. He will not exercise himself in violence. So it's with that disposition that we admit, lamentably, the existence of hell, but know that it's just the underbelly or the flip side of a yet more glorious proposition, namely that there is a place where we can abide with God forever, and that we can choose that. We are empowered to do so, and the Lord Jesus Christ has suffered, has died, has risen, so that it remains possible, and so that it can be accomplished in us.
All right. That made a lot of sense to me.
That's right. I'm glad.
I think that was the goal.
Dig to convince you.
Is it going to be like a Dominican section and a friar section of heaven?
Cool story. Dominican cool story. You ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. So St. Dominic had a vision of heaven, and he was distressed because he didn't see any Dominicans in heaven. He was like, wait, Lord, I thought this life was a fruitful, efficacious form of life, and then I look in heaven and there aren't any Dominicans. What's going on? So the Lord was like, go and ask your mother. So he went to the Blessed Virgin Mary and he's like, hey, where are the Dominicans? And the Blessed Virgin Mary opened up her mantle, and the Dominicans were all gathered at her feet. So, Our Lady's favorite. What's up?
That was a strong answer. That was a strong answer. You win. For more Dominican propaganda, you can listen to the Godsplaining podcast with him and his brothers. And for more from the friars, you can listen to Habits for Holiness, or you can't listen to that because it's a book. For more from myself and the friars, you can pick up Habits for Holiness or check us out on the Poco Poco podcast where we're working through it. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Father Gregory, for being with us. let's go shovel. Or eat pizza. Or eat pizza. All right, we'll see you again next week. We are pilgrims on this earth. Somos peregrinos, poco a poco. Little by little, we're going to make it.